Okay, there we go. Alright. YouTube folks, feel free to go ahead and skip ahead about a minute here. I'm just going to wait a minute and let people get into this because I'm starting earlier than expected before I start talking, just so I don't have to repeat myself too much. And in the meantime, those of you who are just going to be joining and filtering in, take a look at this beauty of a deck list. I found this on Reddit this morning. And last night I said, hey, I'm gonna stream Red, White, Death, and Taxes tomorrow night. And then I saw this beauty, and I could not help myself. I saw it, and I instantly knew that I was going to have to play this tonight. This is something a little bit special. So this is not just something that came from a random hole-in-the-wall event in the middle of nowhere. This came from the Legacy French Cup Finals, and it had 90 players. And this is a top 8 deck list from a 90-person event. So this is a decent-sized event. And boy, is it full of neat cards. So let's talk about what we've got going on here. Essentially, this is not a Death and Taxes deck, right? It does not have Ether Vial, it does not have Wasteland, it does not have Rashad Port. Instead, this is essentially just a human tribal deck with a lot of synergy. In order to go and sort of play out all of these humans, it features mana acceleration in the form of things like Avacyn's Pilgrim and Noble Hierarch. Okay, that's neat. That makes sense. And then that lets you accelerate into various mostly 3 mana cards. And I'll go over a lot of these cards individually when I look at the deck list that I wanted to play, but I wanted to show this first. So Patrick's deck list here is kind of neat. It has a bunch of multicolored lands like Cavern of Souls and Unclaimed Territories that allowed him to play a 4-color humans deck. And I guess this is the point where I start talking about some things that I didn't like, and then I'll go into what I changed and actually talk about some of these cards. So when I saw this, my thoughts were, if we're gonna play 4-color humans, we should commit fully to that and play the 4th Unclaimed Territory and play the 4 Ancient Ziggurat, because they're just 5-colored lands when you're just playing creatures. And look, this says 40 creatures, 40 creatures. Bosk, of course I'm going to play this. I saw this, and I just had to. I needed to. We'll probably play a real league with D&T afterwards, but, this is the starting point for tonight. And I think if you're going to go, this 40 creature route, why even try to cast things that aren't creatures? You can see, there's some Zealous Persecutions here that seem to me really hard on the mana base if you're going to be running, 20 lands. 4 of them are caverns, 3 of them are unclaimed territories, and, Forest doesn't work towards casting that, and you can't have, both Plains and Caracas and still cast that. So I decided that I was going to cut the Zealous Persecutions and a couple of the other cards that weren't humans, like Gaddock Teague, and instead just play a more tribal-oriented version of this same thing. Yeah, I asked the pilot a few questions on Reddit, and they gave me some reasonable opinions, some of which I think are wrong. You know, I say having never played the deck list, and others of which made a lot of sense. So let's talk about both the deck and the changes now that we have some pictures. So I decided that we're going to play Ancient Ziggurat, which I know many of you aren't going to know what that is. Basically, it's a 5-colored land that can only tap for mana for creatures. So this can't even make colorless to go and cast anything. It's just creature mana only. We have Cavern of Souls to make all 40 of our humans uncounterable. And then we have Unclaimed Territory, which is like Cavern of Souls, but minus the uncounterable part. So our mana is baller. In order to make the Ancient Ziggurats fit in, I decided that we were going to go and just drop the whole, like, plains and fetch land suite. So this deck list just has no basic lands. It just does not care if we get mooned. It just has no respect for that. And I think that's actually fine, because if we're going to be playing this 3-color deck, and my opponent wastelands me off a land, and I have plains my other land, they're taking me off multiple colors, right? So just by kind of like committing to not playing around wasteland, the effect of one wasteland is dampened considerably. If our opponent has more than that, alright, that's a little bit rough. So let's talk about the human tribal synergies, and then we'll talk about some of the card choices. Champion of the Parish gets a +1/+1 counter every time a human enters the battlefield. Thalia's Lieutenant is similar. So this one says, when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each human you control, and whenever a human enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. So Thalia's Lieutenant is kind of like an anthem that also keeps getting bigger itself. And so those are like our main deck things that just make the humans better, in addition to like the Unclaimed Territories and Cavern of Souls. So basic planes, rather than playing Vials, it just opts to play 7 turn 1 mana accelerators. And I can kind of get behind that decision. I see what's going on there. Because this lets you accelerate into like playing prelate on turn 2. And look at this, it has 4 prelates. So like a realistic game plan against a lot of decks is just like turn 1 mana dork, turn 2 prelate. Oh, this is a problem. And there are a bunch of spicy one-ofs in the deck. So let's resort this now. So Palace Jailer is removal, we're used to that. Mirran Crusader is bros, he does everything, we're used to that. Auriok Champion is another thing like Mirran Crusader in that it's very, very, very difficult to go and remove. It's also life gain, and I just want you to think about how many ways Checkpile has to get this off the table, right? Like, it can't be bolted, it can't be pushed, it can't be K-Command, it can't be Abrupt Decayed. It's basically an unkillable threat in some matchups that also is a silver bullet for, say, the burn matchup. There's Kitesail Freebooters, which is like a duress on a stick for our combo matchups. Yeah, okay, yeah, Bosk, the posted list was wrong. If you go in the comments, there was an updated version of the list that actually had the sideboard right. There's a really weird one-of here, Vizier of Deferment. It's like a weird Flicker Wisp. So when it ETBs, you can exile a creature if it attacked or blocked this turn, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner control at the beginning of the next end step. So, like, this is worse than Flicker Wisp. Let's just state that. But in this shell, it can do some really weird things. So you can go, Thalia's Lieutenant, buff my team. Next turn, attack with Thalia's Lieutenant. Opponent blocks. You can then use the Vizier to blink it and repump your team. Or you can use this to recycle a Recruiter trigger to get the Monarch title back, to reuse your Orzhov Pontiffs, or your Hostage Taker. I think it is Vizier. I believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe it is like Vizier. I think it is Vizier. Not 100%. So, Hostage Taker is really interesting. So, when it enters the battlefield, you exile a creature or an artifact until it leaves the battlefield. But unlike a lot of these other similar effects, you can go and cast the card that you exile. so they can't get it back. And this hits artifacts, so you can use this on, say, your opponent's piece of equipment. So, oh, you play Jitte? No, I'll exile that Jitte, then I'll cast that Jitte. Now it's mine. It's an interesting card. I think it's pretty good. I've played it in Cube, and it was pretty stellar there, like really overperformed from what I was expecting. So that's kind of the main deck. The sideboard's weird. Most of these are choices that the person who made the deck list made. I swapped some things out. Yeah, so Vizier was correct. So the Null Rod here is the only thing that's not a human that actually costs mana. The Null Rod is a choice that I really like because we're not playing any artifacts, and we can take advantage of that card, which is kind of rare from a legacy standpoint. I almost want to play 2 of these, but we're not going to go that deep. The only other non-creature card that we're playing is a pair of Surgical Extractions, because the card's pretty good. I made a lot of changes to the sideboard. I kept in this Basara Tower Archer. The person who made the deck list convinced me. I thought that like the 2/2 first strike white archer, longbow archer, was going to be better. But then they said like basically like you can treat it as a removal spell versus Delver, or you can treat it as like a difficult to handle threat against decks like Checkpile. And if you start making this bigger with like Thalia's Lieutenant, I can see how that might be good. The other thing I added that wasn't here was I added Meddling Mages, because I made the mana a little bit better for blue by adding the Ancient Ziggurats, so I think that was reasonable now, whereas it wasn't quite as reasonable with the other mana base. The previous mana base was essentially built for a junk deck that happened to have a blue card in it at the top of the curve, so it could just rely on Cavernous Souls, Unclaimed Territory, and Hierarch to get there. But I want to play Meddling Mage because that card is sweet. So I threw those in. The Devout Chaplain is an interesting piece of tech. Tap 2 untapped humans you control, exile target artifact or enchantment. That seems slow, but powerful and repeatable. So in a matchup like the Mirror or Mono Red Prison, where your opponent just like has a ton of artifacts, it just can machine gun them out, and you take a few turns off from like actively trying to kill them. Why no Null Rod? Or why one Null Rod and no tutor or anything? Because when we get them, we get them. When we don't, it's fine. Like, I don't want to play an Enlightened Tutor just for, like, Canonist and Null Rod. That seems bad. Like, I'd have to reboard my whole board if I wanted to go and do something like an Enlightened Tutor package. The person who built this deck list originally had Zealous Persecution, but I think that's going to be really, really, really... Sorry. I think Zealous Persecution was going to be really hard to cast in the first place, and I wanted to just have more, like, true 4-colored lands instead of, making Zealous Persecution a little bit easier to cast. I think if we're playing 4 Pontiffs, like, the Elves players and the True Name Nemesis players are already going to be weeping. Alright, so this is the deck list. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it with this deck list, and we'll see how it performs. I kind of expect these matches to go somewhat quickly, one way or the other, because I think I'm just going to like get a lot of quick prelate wins, or I think I'm going to like grow Champion or Thalia's Lieutenant so quickly that like it just takes over games. Yeah, man, what was their MTGO username? What is it, like 3 like 4R or something like that? They put up with my BS for the stream last night for the sake of entertainment, and I do appreciate that. because it was a savage beating. Yeah, I don't care if you're playing Magic Online while you're watching me. By all means, please do. You know, if you get paired against me and you want to like have a real match, and you want to hear my commentary afterwards on a real match, then like close and don't ghost me. It was against D&T. It was round 5 of last night's. So this hand goes turn 1 champion, turn 2 mom, and then doesn't cast anything else? That's a mulligan. This is a keep. I think I'm on board for a hostage taker. It's not a turn, it's not an early play, but like we can cast it, we have 4 lands. It's probably good. Chalice for 1, you won't. Resolves. I've got news for you, friend. I'm gonna play my 1-drop. Cavern of Souls, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that seems like a poor prospect on their end. I think this is where Mom just starts attacking. It seems like my opponent is going to be just playing a colorless deck. Like, seeing Sphere of Resistance makes me think my opponent is just like playing a mud deck or something like that. Yeah, my opponent is probably on, like, Mud or, like, the Steel Stompy deck. Either way, this hostage taker is probably going to be sweet. Alright, my opponent scoops it up. Alright, let's figure out how to sideboard, chat. Null Rod, probably good. Devout Chaplain, probably good. Pontiff Cabal, Meddling Mage, maybe good. Mother of Runes actively bad. It's probably not an Auriok champion matchup. Honestly, this probably isn't even a Sanctum Prelate matchup, but we'll figure out something to name. Legacy All-Star Devout Chaplain. Gonna earn his salt today. I don't know how to sideboard here. So, if my opponent has little idiots, then Pontiff is good. Meddling Mage is probably good once we figure out like kind of what my opponent is doing. Kamal's probably fine. I don't know that I actually want to bring in more Pontiffs until I have a little bit more information. Like, my opponent might have things like Steel Overseer if they're the Steel Stompy version and not just like actual factual mud. I think I'm going to sideboard like this and readjust before the next matchup. I don't know that we actually know he plays those. Like, that could have been misinformation when my opponent thinks that they're going to lose the game. Like, oh man, we have the Devout Chaplain in the opener. How do we lose? So we just go like turn 1 Hierarch off of Cavern. Turn 2 Chaplain. Turn 3 Crusader, or Champion followed by Crusader. Ratchet Bomb tick up, you say? That's fine. We have plenty of lands. We'll get to that eventually. So this is 2 other humans, because it has to tap itself. Unfortunate. I'm just gonna like double check to make sure. Yep. Alright, there's the metal worker. Do I just want to nug the metalworker now because it's dangerous? Kind of. I just nug the Metalworker now, Lodestone Golem hits me down to 10, then I exile that, play a Recruiter or a Crusader. That all seems fine. Chaplain's great. Clearly an overpowered magic card. Ban-worthy, even. A Forge Master. I don't think I'm in danger of my opponent popping the Forge Master next turn. So I think I can just, like, play Crusader, bump Champion up to a 4/4 base, attack with it as a 5/5, exile 2 guys still. Or no, that doesn't work because I'd have to pay for 4. So alternatively, I can just exile Lodestone right now, then play a 3-drop. Let's get rid of that. So I get rid of that, then I have 3, then I play Crusader. Yeah. You have hexproof. Oh man, I can just take that. I can just hostage taker their Orbs of Warding if I want. Or can I just kill my opponent here? So this is 4. Alright. The Orbs is annoying. I can just, like, poop a bunch of guys there, right? I can go 3-drop. Alright, so I can go 3-drop into 1-drop. Use both of those in the Chaplain to exile this. And crash in for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That seems solid. Use this ability. Yes, what do I even get? I have my best card already. I'll get a Palace Jailer. Maybe that should have been Thalia's Lieutenant. exile that. Tapping these two things. Then I'll go to combat and bash them for a ton. Alright, easy 1-0 on the back of Devoted Chaplain, Legacy All-Star. Alright, so for anyone who didn't catch the deck tech at the beginning, we are playing 4-color Legacy Humans right now. If our opponent had a Ballista, that Ballista would have hit play last turn and, like, just started nuking some of our idiots. And, like if they have Ballista, they just play it and kill the Chaplain. 100% over anything else they're doing. So this hand is just kind of unexciting but good, right? So we have a turn 1 or turn 2 Thalia into a turn 3 Prelate or Crusader, depending on the matchup. We also have a backup Thalia if it gets removed. Wow, just all the soul land decks today. Really hope this isn't a Blood Moon. Fuck. Alright, we're dead. So I built my deck to not beat Blood Moon. That was an active choice that I made. So we're probably just losing this round. I'm going to play this out and just pretend like I'm drawing to a white source. But I'm not. Like, we are 100% dead, have no castable things. I'm just going to get information about what my opponent is doing, and the Goblin Rabblemaster will kill me in like 3 turns anyway, so this is fine. We do not have any red humans, unfortunately. What on earth do they have that makes them want to, like, Chrome Mox away a Fiery Confluence? It's like one of their best cards against this style of deck. They must have, like, a Chandra in hand that they're going to play, or something of that nature. Yeah, okay, there's a Chandra. We'll concede there. Alright. No Rod. Seems good. Cabal seems good. Meddling Mage seems good. Auroch Champion and Legacy All-Star Devout Chaplain seem good. Alright, let's figure out what's bad. So this doesn't actually kill a Goblin Rabblemaster, it just gets rid of some tokens, and we don't really care about the tokens, we're gonna get way bigger than them. So those can go. This card seems awkward here. All these cards seem fine. I guess I probably don't need Jailer. What does Hostage Taker do? Hostage Taker can take a Goblin Rabblemaster, or like a Chrome Mox. Hostage Taker maybe isn't the greatest. Like, taking an opponent's Chrome Mox is sweet, and like maybe game winning, but I don't know that that's better than like all these sideboard cards that I'm bringing in anyway. It's also the slowest of the cards here. So like, maybe I cut that, and then one Crusader. Yes, I would like to play first. This hand's really bad. It has double Hierarch and no ways to cast them, so this is already a mold of 5, and the rest of the hand isn't disruptive at all, and has both of my Caracases. That's a mulligan. This is a keep. I will take that land. I have to think so hard about what I'm doing with my life and my mana. So many colors available to me. Hey, I'm doing well. Ooh. Opponent's hand is actually not great. So that's Mountain times 2, Tomb times 2, Chandra, and Trinisphere. Alright, so they reveal, and then separately I take a card. That's going to be the board wipe here. That's the one I'm scared of. It's probably safe to poke for 1. Mind showing the list? Oh yeah, I forgot to put it below the stream. Yeah, I'll show it in between games. Now I want to attack with the Mom, because like Soul Land just leads into Chandra. So I actually think that I want to get Thalia's Lieutenant so that I can grow my team and kill the Chandra when it hits the board. As weird as that sounds. Because next turn I can go land, champion, Thalia's Lieutenant, pump the whole team, get stuff big, and then if my opponent just like Ancient Tombs and Chandras, I just kill the Chandra. Chalice on 2. Good thing I've got a Cavern of Souls. Drawing another Cavern would be sweet, though. Do I just want to aggro this turn? Or do I want to play the Thalia? I can play the Thalia to just, like, stop my opponent from potentially multiple spelling. And then play the Lieutenant as an Anthem next turn and push more damage. I'm gonna Thalia. Take that, Chalice of the Void. Alright, my opponent just concedes it there. So here is the list. Essentially, it's 20 lands and 40 creatures. No nonsense whatsoever. Hey, Bahra. What is this? This is 4-color humans. You make it bigger for a screenshot. How's this? If you're gonna want to like screenshot something, this is the deck with like the main deck and sideboard configuration set up. The list that I started from is on Reddit. If you go to the MTG Legacy subreddit, it's there. I made a few changes. Unfortunately, those were changes that made us better against everything that wasn't Blood Moon decks. Why do you stream at 60 frames per second, by the way? I don't know. Because it's the default? That's my answer. Am I supposed to, like, knock that down to 30? Okay, I'll try to find that setting in between games. We won a set real quick versus Mud. So we're in round 2. We won versus Mud 2-0 on the power of Devout Chaplain. Alright, so what does this hand do? Turn 1 Champion into turn 2 Thalia into turn 3 Lieutenant. Alright. We're an aggro hand with some degree of disruption. Yeah, we are 1-0. Alright, so we don't get to cast any spells for the rest of this game. We have to deal 20 points with a champion of the parish. I believe in you, buddy. Yeah, I made changes that made us weaker to Blood Moon. Alright, Champion of the Parish winning. Still great. Yeah, so the original deck list has 2 basic planes, and I think, like, 5 fetch lands or something like that. But Blood Moon aside, I think that it's just better to just play more multicolored lands. Like, I threw Ancient Ziggurat in this list. I will concede to literally anything that beats a Champion of the Parish. That beats it. Concede. Move on. Alright, so I want to find the setting that lets me change. You know where the frames per second thing is? Okay, so it will be under video, and I change it right here. Okay, good to know. Yeah, so the original deck list had, like, I think fetch, plains, bayou, scrubland, or something like that. And I just went, like, up an unclaimed territory and up an Ancient Ziggurat, so that, like, we could be an actual 4-color deck instead of, like, a junk deck that had a couple of blue cards in it. And I think that is a better decision as a whole, but we're cold to Blood Moon on the draw. Like, on the play, we can, like, play a Mana Dork or something like that and then be okay. Yeah, moving on. I made a decision. I was punished for the decision. It's okay. I don't care. Like, if you only have a couple of fetch lands anyway, it's not like you're guaranteed to just, like, have one in the first place. Alright, turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Prelate. Live the dream. Are we just gonna, like, play against mono Blood Moon decks now that I made that choice? Yep. Alright, great. Now I don't get to prelate all game. Yes, it is the Soul Land Gauntlet. This is the third Soul Land thing in a row here. Ooh, actually, I can just get another Hierarch, right? And just get another Hierarch, and then I can play the Prelate? That seems reasonable. No! Chalice! I ignored the Chalice the first time. Thought I could ignore it the second time. Was wrong. Womp womp. Like, I already said I'm not beating the Blood Moon anyway. So I don't feel bad about that, but it's definitely a mistake. So I guess I get Thalia's Lieutenant and grow the squad. Oh, great. Alright, so we'll do what we did before. Null Rod in, Cabal in, Meddling Mage in, Chaplain in, Champion in. And what did we take out before? We went Pontiff out, Hostage Taker and Jailer out, Vizier out, Crusader out. Yes, I would like to play first. I will keep this. This is a great hand. It's the deck builder's curse, right? You build your deck to be better against the meta, and then don't play meta decks. So I guess I champion now Thalia's Lieutenant the next turn to kind of get the most out of my triggers. Ups and downs versus D&T? It's mostly downs. Mostly downs. We've just played against 3, like, Soul Land decks in a row. So, like, the entire reasons I built this deck was to just, like, punish blue decks. So, have not felt the strengths of this build yet. Let's put it that way. I'm actually gonna play the mom first. I ideally need to protect my my idiot here. I'll 100% offer that trade. Opponent did not fall for my tricks. Alright, I'm just gonna save time and concede here. On we go. I don't know what either of those two cards are. See if I know what my opponent's playing. I don't. Well, I'm gonna keep this one. It threatens a turn 2 prelate. That's good. Unless my opponent is playing like yet another soul land deck. Maybe we'll play against Pirate Stompy by the end of the night. Probably. Alright, we're playing against a blue matchup. We can kind of see how this deck actually gets to function when it's doing its thing. Delver. So, real question, am I supposed to just jam the prelate on one, or am I supposed to both Mom and Thalia? If I just jam the prelate and it resolves, it's pretty disgusting that I get it down this early. But I can play the Thalia around Daze, and then the Mom can't be dazed either. That seems better. Alright, everyone kind of agrees with my thinking there. I don't know if my opponent just, like... Okay. My opponent just sent me, like, a... face. Oh, we... Best Thalia ever. And the Delver doesn't flip, too. Savage. And now we're gonna slam the prelate. We did it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten a literal 3-for-1 Thalia before. Alright, opponent, you can slow me down. You can wasteland me. But you might not get any more spells ever. Human. Yeah, we did play around days. I guess our success is largely on us. Alright, my opponent scoops it up. Alright, so we're playing against Grixis Delver. Ah, this is a Basara Tower Archers matchup, isn't it? I think it is. Alright, what's bad here? Palace Jailer's probably bad. This is probably bad. Hostage Taker is slow, but probably good. Maybe the Freebooter is not good enough, especially on the draw. Recruiters are slow, yeah. Yeah, I buy that. I think I like this. So the difference between Oh, thank you for subscribing, by the way. I think I missed that earlier. The Hostage Taker can be good if my opponent plays something else, because the Hostage Taker lets me cast it and then I get to keep it forever, right? So, like, that side of the equation is fine. This hand is Mana Light, which is not where you want to be against Delver, but my opponent mulliganed, so I'm going to keep my hand because my opponent mulliganed. Hey, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm a teacher. I want people to learn. I want Legacy players to be better so that I play better games of Legacy that are more interesting. That's what I care about. Apparently this is a real tricky 6 my opponent is looking at here. While they're tanking, I'm going to get some more water. So my opponent ultimately kept their 6-card hand, and they scryed and put on top. No turn 1 play. And we have Legacy All-Star, Basara Tower Archer in our hand. How can we lose? Is my mom getting bolted? My mom is getting bolted. Let's go name human. And I think I want to play out the archers now. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to just like play out the champion early. If I draw a land, what am I doing? If I draw a land, I play Kumbal. What do I want to have in play if I play Kumbal? Doesn't really matter at this stage. They don't have a Delver, that's very clear, so I don't need this in play right now. Alright. Let's do that. Deathrite Shaman getting frisky. Ooh. Do I just want to play the life gain card early? Probably. So just kind of like looking at a board and trying to get a read. My opponent did not cantrip, so they probably don't have a cantrip. They can't... Alright, I know they have a ponder now. They might have some black cards that they can't cast, or something like a Gurmag Angler that's just stranded in their hand, you know, both because of black mana and because of lack of things in graveyards. Well... all is going okay. We have not played against very representative meta matches. I made changes that made this deck worse against Blood Moon, and so of course I played against 2 Blood Moon decks in a row. Let's play the Delver removal spell now. Oh great, that's a May. I'm gonna have to click that every time. Yeah, so we won against Mud, lost to Red Prison twice, and we are on the path to victory against Delver. We'll see, though. I hope they play a true name, and then I draw a land, and I get to just wreck them. No, that seems like a Gurmag Angler, which will be very good. No, it won't be very good against me. I have this Auroch Champion to stall it. It's fine. I'm just the perfect foil to Delver here. This is hilarious. Alright, so do I want to play Thalia, or do I want to play a Thalia's Lieutenant? I don't think I need to start growing this stuff yet. I think I just want to play the Thalia. Yeah, all I need to do is draw lands. So I have a pair of creatures that my opponent probably literally cannot answer with their entire deck. This is very humorous. Hello, friend. They've had enough. They've had enough of my BS. Alright, so we're 2-2 with this deck. Can't beat Blood Moons. Apparently we beat everything else, though. Sure, we're playing 20 lands, but we have 7 mana accelerators. So we have 27 mana sources. My opponent's name is Senior Stompy. Are we going to play against another Soul Land deck? I know we're mulliganing this hand. That's great. Thank you for sending me that message on Step Top. Will I curve Thalia's Lieutenant into second Thalia's Lieutenant on the play? I think I'd rather hit a land. Sorry, this is 4-color good stuff. We don't have red. The jig is up. My opponent knows what deck we're on. kinda wanna just play Hierarch over Thalia's Lieutenant so that I can prelate on 1 next turn. So, like, you have a choice between playing Vials or playing Mana Accelerators. You usually don't do both. So this deck has 7 1-drop Mana Accelerators because it is not running Vial. Feels like I'm playing against check pile. Well, maybe it's actually Storm, so they name my prelate here. So the question here is my opponent actually playing a Storm deck? Or are they just like a Grixis Control deck? Because how I play this turn is very, very different depending on the answer to that question. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Recruiter for a prelate under the assumption that they are actually Storm. Sorry, I misspoke. Not pile, like a Grixis Control deck. I have so many creatures. Prelate. And I think I'm confident enough that my opponent is Storm that I'm going to bash in for 2 here. Like, they didn't have a removal spell on turn 1 when I played out the Mom. And if they go off this turn with an Ad Nauseam, then I really want to have those 2 points of damage in. Cabal Therapy for prelate again. Yes, Tezz usually has a Badlands. You can get like a Massacre. Does look stormy. A Dark Petition. Okay. Well, when you're hot, you're hot. Alright, opponent scoops it up. Well, at least this league is going at a blistering pace. Indeed. So I think we're actually probably pretty favored against Tezz. I'm just gonna, like, make a giant stack of cards that we're gonna bring in. Probably won't go for the surgicals. They do almost nothing. Just tuning in, yes. Legacy 4-color humans. Deck, I request Resolved Cabal against Storm. Fair. It's a decent thing to wish for. I can probably cut one recruiter just because it's slow and I kind of want to, like, naturally draw all this stuff. I don't think I want to go and cut the aggressive portion of my deck. Just getting them dead is important once I land any one of the hate cards. And, like, if we just kind of look at the hate cards pile, it's big. Like, those are the hate cards. 15 hate cards with honorable mention to Pontiff, which beats goblins. Out of curiosity, what cards outside of D&T do you have access to, Phil? I have all my D&T stuff plus a $300 card hoarder loan account. So I can play anything within 300 ticks of D&T. At some point, once I've, proven that I am, consistently streaming and consistently giving their cards back, I can go and probably request a raise. Gotta bring in that devout chaplain to hit them LEDs. So we're insulated from a Cabal therapy because we have two different valuable turn 2 plays. We have both Thalia and Sanctum Prelate because of the Avacyn's Pilgrim. So one Cabal therapy doesn't stop all our BS. Yes, this deck seems very, very, very good against Storm. Like, you can still get turn 1 or turn 2'd, but we have so many hate cards. It's really absurd. And even if they get this game, like, being on the play is going to be very, very, very good for Game 3. They also mulliganed once already. Still playing Avacyn's Pilgrim because I drew, even though I drew Mom, because then if they therapy away my Thalia, I still have Prelate, or vice versa. Alright, so opponent has to go off here, otherwise life gets pretty miserable. Yeah, the follow-up lieutenant is going to be gross. Ooh, so opponent was, relatively speaking, locked under their own brainstorm, so they fetched away to get new cards to look at, because they know they have to go off this turn or stuff gets real bad. So if we make it to my turn, I think I'm going to prelate and prelate on 2, so my opponent can't Burning Wish for a Massacre. Alright, never mind. The prelate probably goes here over the Thalia, I imagine. Prelate's much harder to beat. Oh no, they named the Thalia. Okay. I think it is probably correct to play Mom followed by Thalia's Lieutenant to get prelate out of removal. Like, maybe it's not. Maybe I just stick Cabal. Cabal's really good. Like, Cabal would live through a -2/-2 effect, and if they have, like, a bounce spell, then it's just much, much, much better. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to Cabal. And then the following turn, I just Thalia's Lieutenant and bash in for infinite. Yeah, alright. Also, my poor opponent is on 3, now 4 cards after they've drawn for turn. Alright, they scoop it up. Easy peasy. Well, that was like 5 matches in an hour, so I guess we just run this back, right? Cashed with this pile. Hey, we beat every deck that did not contain Blood Moon. That's what I wanted to do, right? And we did it. Let's try again. Yes, I built this deck so Red Prison was an auto-lose. The original version of the deck had, I think, 4 fetch lands and 2 basic planes, so there was, like, some hope of beating Red Prison ever. But I said the heck with that, and I wanted more quad-colored lands. How have you been liking trying these D&T-esque decks? It's a lot of fun. It's a good break, because I did a lot of D&T streams, you know, and like that's my jam. It's fine. But this has been a fun break. Many of these decks have been good. Some of them have been bad. Many of them are doing weird, like, angle shooting things where they have, like, odd matchup percentages. Alright, looks like my opponent is probably playing Miracles. So I'm going to keep my Cavern of Souls hand and be real happy. You're going to watch Red Prison players get crushed by Delver on camera at the GP. I don't know that that's actually going to happen. In my experience, Red Prison is pretty good against Delver. Like, you just have too many must-answer cards. Like, Chalice is rough. Blood Moon is rough. And then there's all the regular idiots, too. Oh, that's what you're just hoping. I see. We're gonna go get Sanctum Prelate. And we're gonna put that on 6, and then never have to worry about board sweepers again. So I just need to dodge Terminus blind exactly this turn. Opponent gets 2 looks for a Terminus. Otherwise, I feel like I've got this game just 100% in the bag. Sure. Opponent could have Supreme Verdict. That would feel bad. Okay. That combo will do it. So this still counts as Terminus this turn, right? So they brainstorm a Terminus back to their deck, and then Portent. So now they can Terminus in my upkeep. Or not. Six. Okay. We can't take a search. Hostage Taker lets us take artifacts and creatures. Alright, opponent, do you have a Supreme Verdict? Nope. Alright, so what do I have on the table? So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I almost have an Orzhov Pontiff plus kill. So I can Orzhov Pontiff plus the team. Thalia's Lieutenant gets bigger by 2. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. I don't want to actually swing in with the mom. I'm gonna get while the getting's good in case they do have a Supreme Verdict. So, Thalia's Lieutenant, whenever another human enters the battlefield, I put a +1/+1 counter on it, not on my entire team again. Now, I'm just going to push a ton of damage in case they do have Supreme Verdict. If they have Supreme Verdict, they probably just leave it as the top card of their library. Sure. Yeah, Guru lands are crazy, crazy expensive. Council's Judgment. Alright, so Council's Judgment probably gets rid of Prelate. I don't think I want to flinch by, like, tapping Mom. Because I think just it 100% gets rid of Prelate. In order for them to win, they still probably need to Terminus me. Alright, so do they have the Terminus on top? They need to. They do. Alright, so we're going to leave them with Brainstorm, Force, and Snapcaster Mage. We'll see if they force this. They might. Yep. Alright, so now they have Snapcaster Mage. So they can Snapcaster Mage and Council's Judgment away my freebooter. And then I'll Hostage Taker their Snapcaster Mage back. So what happens if they Swords to Plowshares it with the trigger on the stack? This is the new templating, so that means it doesn't go forever. But it still gets the Swords of Plowshares out of their hand. That's fine. Alright, so we made them take a line. They did. Search for Escant is annoying. Since my opponent is at such a low life total, and because things like Thalia's Lancers can all of a sudden make my team much bigger, I'm fine with just like running out whatever I draw each turn and not holding back. Yes, because in the event that my opponent finds a Jace, I want to have something on board. Alright, that card going on top is not a good sign for me. Yeah, we've basically lost here. I need a card to go on bottom, and then I need to spike something like a Recruiter. Oh great, it's an Entreat that's gonna get Brainstorm back, and then I'm gonna die. So what do I need to draw? Oh, nothing. We're just dead. Oh, wait, nope, they targeted me with their Portent instead of themselves. If they just, like, Portent themselves, they can Entreat for enough Angels to just kill me. So I think that's probably wrong. Like, what can I draw to beat them if they crap that many Angels into play? Or no, so they just left it on top and then did that. Okay, no, that was right. Sorry, I just misremembered Portent for a second there. Alright, so Cabal, good. Meddling Mage, good. Basara's has Hexproof, that's probably good enough. Alright. What's bad? I don't like Jailer. I don't like Hostage Taker. This can, I guess, be a pseudo Flicker Wisp. So Champion's just a 1/1 here. This seems fine. Canonist is probably better than other cards. Okay, I could buy that. I do not like Jailer versus Control decks that have Snapcaster Mage, because they just end of turn Snapcaster Mage, take the crown, and then you can just literally never beat them. So Jailer is more for mid-range creature-based matchups like Eldrazi, where like taking one of their relevant cards and gumming up the ground a little bit is good enough to let you pull way ahead. So like things like Maverick and Eldrazi, that's the place for Palace Jailer, not against a control deck. It's also very possible that I'm supposed to leave the Pontiffs in as a way to just push damage. And just, like, try to beat the first Terminus down. This is not the sort of hand that I want against this deck. We're going to be pretty soft to a Terminus. That is a great draw. Is attacking for 3 a turn enough? Probably. Alright, so this is Brainstorm. It's going to put Terminus back on top, and then I'll go Thalia, followed by Hierarch, followed by second Hierarch, and attack in for 4, and make my opponent have a removal spell for the Thalia. It's annoying. Alright. Opponent has had it all over there. Do they also now have, like, a Jace for the empty board? Sure seems like it does. Second Terminus. Cavern, right on time. Yes, indeed. Perfectly on time. Alright, so there's a card on top of my library. That's terrible for me. It's a land. Alright, they bottomed, so that's at least good for me. Ah, yes. The naked 1/2. Kind of hoping it just gets bounced at some point. Council Judgment. Alright, I'm just gonna concede this one, I think. Opponent has Jace and Search. Don't feel like I'm getting this. Alright, so for anyone who came in late, hi, my name's Phil Gallagher. We're running a sort of unusual 4-color humans deck in a Legacy tonight. The list is based off of one that I found off of Reddit that top-aided a 90-person event. So the general overall deck list is probably pretty good. I've made some changes, some for the good, some for the bad. We're batting about 50-50 with this deck right now. We'll see how it does long term. I think, generally speaking, I am probably going to like this deck a lot versus combo, and I think theoretically the control matchups are going to be fine. My opponent stabilized at a very low life total in game 1. Like, I think they stabilized at 4 or 5, and we almost aggroed him out. And then in game 2, like, if we had a Cavern, they probably can't beat us. If they didn't have the Terminus in their top, what was that, top 15 cards, they probably don't win. Well, we'll see. Yes, Ninjutsuki, or wait, no, Ninjutsu Kid. On my YouTube page, I have a link to all of my videos. So there's either 1 or 2 Soldier Stompy streams. and I am Thraben University. So I want to play here. I get to go turn 1 Champion of the Parish, turn 2 nothing, turn 3 Mirran Crusader. That doesn't seem good. Let's mulligan. This hand is gas. Keep. Do I want a cavern? Yes, I want a cavern. We'll play the one that lets us do a turn 2 uncounterable Sanctum Prelate. And if my opponent is playing Preordain, Sanctum Prelate is probably pretty awesome. Is it better than just Thalia, though? Because I can Thalia plus Mom. I think I want to Prelate on 1. My opponent went top with their Preordain. If my opponent is just on, like, Ant, then I'd rather Prelate on 4. If I wait 1 turn, I probably get to know for sure, and I can just Thalia plus Mom, which is also probably unbeatable at this stage. Are you interested in being a legacy streamer that specializes in D&T rather than a D&T exclusive streamer? Generally speaking, most... Dead. Okay. Generally speaking, the vast majority of the content that is on this channel is going to be D&T content. You know, I'm on spring break, I'm in kind of a screwy mood, so, like, I'm definitely going to mess around with other decks now that I have access to the card order stuff, but, like, we'll mostly be D&T. Alright, opponent just scoops it up there. So they showed us Preordain and Dead. I guess they are a Grixis Control, or maybe some sort of, like, Grixis Young Pyromancer deck. So what does that mean for sideboarding? Probably those. And probably these. Probably cut Hostage Taker and Jailer. Maybe this. I need to make one more cut. I guess I can just, like, cut 1 champion. I don't have a 1-drop, but the rest of the hand is probably solid against what my opponent is doing. Right, we'll mostly be D&T, except for when we're Soldier, Stompy, Tin Fins, Elves, Mono Black Control, and so forth. Yes. Yes, you got it. He scooped a prelate, so an opener with 2 prelates is probably good, right? Yeah, I agree. That is probably how that works. So do I kite sail freebooter them, or do I just like jam the probably unkillable Auriok champion? How is this card templated? Now this is the annoying one where if they remove it in response, it does nothing. It's unfortunate. So since my opponent has a bunch of mana up, I probably don't want to freebooter. Yeah, I do still get to look at their hand, which I guess is valuable for setting prelate next turn. But I wonder if I'm supposed to just like play unkillable guy followed by unkillable guy after a prelate. I don't know, if they have like a bolt or a push. Eh. I think I want to just get this down. It just seems bad to play the freebooter when it's probably not getting me any value. It is also very realistic that I might just 19 turn clock my opponent with this champion. Opponent all sorts of confused over there. EE for 2. Okay. That is a good answer to Auriok champion. So this champion's gonna die, so I'm gonna attack in with the champion. Ooh, do I just recruiter? Hold on. Is my pirate idiot still in the deck? Oh, my pirate idiot isn't in the deck. That's unfortunate. So since pirate idiot isn't in the deck, I think I'm just gonna like jam a crusader. That'll show him. think I want a freebooter to just kind of get a feel for what's happening on the other side of the table. I want to know if my opponent has like a Toxic Deluge or anything like that. Oh, this is actually terrible, right? Since they have the EE on board. So it's just like worst line I could have taken this turn. Alright, so this is really good to know. So they have double bolt, Git Probe, and Dead Gone. So they can 3 mana bounce my Prelate at some point. So my opponent's turn probably needs to be return Prelate to my hand so that on their next turn they can bolt 2 of my creatures. How do I best play around that? I can just hit them for 6 with Mirran Crusader this turn. If I Pontiff. Or I can, like, Recruiter and get a Mom. I can Recruiter and get a Meddling Mage named Bolt, because they'll get to, like, bounce my Prelate, bolt my Crusader. Unless they draw another red source, they can't second bolt. What happens if I Recruiter for Thalia's Lancer and play Pilgrim? They bounce Prelate, they kill 2 of my guys. Next turn, I play Prelate and Thalia's Lancers. Alright, well, we're Recruitering, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna get. I can also just get another unkillable Auriok champion. That actually seems fine. Because then if I draw a land, I can go Prelate and Auriok champion next turn. I don't want to get Noble, since I already have a Pilgrim in hand here. Sure, like, theoretical 2-turn clock, though, right? Because, like, my opponent deads my Prelate back to my hand, or gons my Prelate back to my hand, then bolts the Crusader. Feels bad for my opponent. So now they... Okay. So they Cabal Therapy away the Prelate. They bolt my Crusader. Oh no, they bolt the Pontiff. Or, excuse me, they take the Pontiff. Alright. So they IOK away the Prelate. They have a bolt for Crusader. And then the champion's just going to do dirty things to him. And I get to do both of these, which is neat. Alright, yeah. Opponent just F6'd through that and died. So, yeah. We'll take those. We'll take those. Opponent's deck was really, really soft to Prelate, since they had, like, Ponder, Preordain, IOK, Bolt, Dead Gone, potentially Fatal Push as well. They just could not beat that. Playing against Realm Slayer. For my opponent's deck, it just says you. Does that mean no? Oh. I think my opponent is playing the, like, mono blue painter deck. Yeah. So that's interesting. Thalia is probably pretty good against that deck. I've never played against this deck, so we'll see. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know this deck, essentially it's a Painter's Servant deck with a Trinket Mage package that has some random stuff like Walking Ballista and Spellskite and Lodestone Golem as disruption. It also features Jace and Tezzeret, and some tutors like Transmute Artifact and Whir of Invention. It's a Chalice and Mox Diamond deck as well. Yeah, my opponent's deck is definitely interesting. Alright, they have a Signet. I'm gonna have a Thalia to set them back. Although this Signet does let them produce their colored mana. Oh, alright. They get to do a thing on turn 1. Man, that would have been a great start against so many decks. Jeez, Deluge is rough. I don't think I want to just Pontiff for no value. I think I'm just going to play out one Idiot and call that good. Yeah, so I looked at the modern version of the deck to see if any of the cards were like good enough to make the cut here, and I don't think the answer was yes. Alright, this is something big and stupid. Oh god, a Batter Skull. How do I beat that? I need to take that with a Hostage Taker. That's fine, that's doable. I can also just get bigger than it, and it won't actually take all that long. So do I want more counters on different creatures or just more counters on Thalia's Lieutenant? Probably more counters on Thalia's Lieutenant, so that I can get it bigger than a 4/4. Yeah. Yeah, I think I just start growing the Lieutenant. Devout Chaplain, Legacy All-Star, is going to be very good in this matchup. Let the record show. Red, they have like a DAC. Oh, a Duretti. So they're gonna sack an artifact to blow up my Thalia's Lieutenant. Annoying. Don't need more of that. The Pontiff does not do anything yet. So I'm not gonna play it. My opponent is going to get to eat my creatures one by one here, so we've probably just lost this game at this point. So I want to draw a Hostage Taker. I want them to tap out. I want a Hostage Taker the Batterskull and take this game over. Alright, so they're... Maybe they're not the mono-blue Tezzeret deck. Maybe currently they are just... Well, like, obviously they're not, but, like, it looks like they're, like, regular, probably Grixis Tezzerator. That's not good. My opponent is making some comments about how absurd their top decks have been the last couple of turns. I agree. Duretti plus Sword of the Meek is a pretty cute combo, I do admit. I'll name Aetherborn to concede. Alright. Nullrod. Get in here. Kumbal's probably good. Meddling Mage is probably so-so. Devout Chaplain. MVP. Surgical's probably fine to get Sword of the Meek Thopter combo out, since I don't have something like Rest in Peace. And Auriok Champion is reasonable, but probably not good enough. So I'll probably go Jailer out, this card out. I've boarded this out every time. It's pretty situational. Yeah, so maybe I'll just cut those. Ooh, actually, that's kind of good against Thopter combo. Kind of. Like, it temporarily gains me some life, but the Thopters just attack a second time, and then it's moot. Probably not worth it. And if my opponent is going to have things like Baleful Strix, then Champion of the Parish is a little worse. So I could just cut that, or trim that. Maybe it's a play-draw thing, where on the play I keep the champions, and on the draw I have Pontiffs. Pontiff still answers like Baleful Strix and random Duretti tokens and Thopters, so it's probably fine. Let's run this. Yes, I would like to play first. I have a Nullrod. That's insane against their deck, so I will keep. Ooh, opponent mulled to 5. You could see Phantasmal Image being good in this deck the same way it's good in Modern Humans. Maybe. Like, it's odd. I'm just 100% gonna slam the Null Rod. It doesn't do anything yet, but it will. Yeah, this deck might have enough creatures where, like, Phantasmal Image is not unreasonable, but the mana might not properly support Phantasmal Image if, like, everything is just consistently going on human. Do I want to freebooter this turn? Kind of. My opponent hasn't done anything yet. But prelate next turn is probably just better. So I'll attack while I still have Karakas up. Then post-combat, I'll play a Mom. Ready, create an idiot. So I can Orzhov Pontiff, kill the idiot, crash in for 3. That seems fine. Or what? Hold on. What if I use Pontiff's other mode? What if I just cast it this way and I go plus? Then my opponent blocks the Thalia. No. I wonder if my opponent forgot about the Null Rod. Because, that seems like a bad use of mana. They might... Oh, I see. Okay. So this is probably just prelate on... They have a lot of 2-drops, but I think I'm worried about Toxic Deluge. Toxic Deluge is really annoying. I wish I had one more mana so that I could, like, freebooter and prelate. If I freebooter, it takes up my whole turn. But if I freebooter, then I know kind of like exactly what I need to do in order to like prelate most optimally. So maybe that's my line here. I could also just surgical to get the information. Alright, well, I think I'm just going to attack with Thalia. Because that's happening no matter what. Yeah, so... I think I want to prelate on 3, hold up surgical, followed by freebooter next turn. I don't think I can beat a Deluge. Whereas I think I can beat Thopter Sword with Surgical. And I probably get half of it with Freebooter next turn anyway. Alright, opponent did not do anything meaningful. Alright, so I crack for 5. So I'm going to use all 5 of my mana this turn, because I'm going to Freebooter followed by Recruiter. Alright, so... I'm just going to take the Transmute Artifact. I don't know what targets they have for it, but they're all probably bad for me. Alright, so they have double Tezz, Duretti, and Mox. I can also just Surgical Duretti, too. Does Surgicaling Duretti leave them dead on board? No, it doesn't. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power on board if I don't attack with Mom. So I guess that means I get a Thalia's Lancers, or excuse me, Thalia's Lieutenant to just present lethal. So my opponent, if my opponent draws a land, they could go land, Tezzeret, plus make Dimir Signet an idiot. Can't get Hostage Taker, unfortunately. I could just get the Devout Chaplain. Yeah, getting the Lieutenant's probably fine. Baleful Strix is fine. Second Baleful Strix is still fine, but annoying. Alright, and they concede. I know they have Baleful Strix in addition to the combo. Am I supposed to also board in more Pontiffs? Maybe. Maybe Pontiff is just better than something like Champion. Oh, Nerf Blaster, thank you very much for subscribing. Sorry, I missed that earlier. Two Pontiffs is probably good. On the draw, this card's way worse, though. No, Hostage Taker can take artifacts, though, so it can take things like their Batter Skull. Alright, opponent has a lot of mana. so they can do something like a Tezzeret or a Duretti right now. A Blood Moon. Alright, well, I can't beat that, as we've talked about. Good luck, Mom. We are going to beat every non-Blood Moon deck that I play against tonight. Nope. We'll concede, we can't beat that. Alright, I'm gonna take 30 seconds to run to the restroom before the next one. Give my opponent a chance to get back in the chat. Alright, good games. Like I was talking about on stream earlier, I built my deck to be better against everything but Blood Moon, so like I literally can't beat that card once it resolves. Otherwise the game was going to be interesting, because I had like a Devout Chaplain. This is no good. Only has one land. This is good, as it is a turn to prelate. I don't think I want a Mom with this hand. Alright, we're playing against Enchantress, so turn 2 prelate will be the game. Alright, so we've shut off most of their deck now. Next turn, we'll use the Pontiff to kill their Enchantress, and then we can just poke him to death over a few turns. I mean, Toxic Deluge is insane, so I don't think you should like cut that from your deck or anything like that, just because like prelate on 3 was really, really good against you. Feels bad to be my opponent. Yeah, yeah, it is pretty humorous, right? Green Senate is on Zenith for 2. Get an Enchantress. Alright. You bet. Look at all these cards you get to draw. Alright, what does Recruiter get? Does Recruiter just get another Pontiff? Does Recruiter just get a Thalia's Lieutenant to force the beatdown? Like, I don't actually care about this that much. I guess I can get another prelate and intend on naming 2 with the next one to stop, like, Rip Helm combo. Or, like, Enchantress, or the, whatever the green-white card is that sacks and lets them tutor and gives their other stuff hexproof. That could stop that as well. If I get the Lancers, though, my opponent is just dead real quick. Because I go Recruiter, Lancer, swing in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, put them to 10, and then on the next turn I have 7, 8, 9, then the next turn is lethal and they have to chump block. I guess just getting a second prelate is safer, though. So I should probably just do the safe line. They might have, like, a Cast Out or Oblivion Ring or who knows what else that removes my prelate. In which case I want to have another. So many creatures, I can't actually see this tab. Prelate. Yeah, every time I say Thalia's Lancers, I mean Thalia's Lieutenant. Just assume that is the case. Because I've done that like 8 times already. Sterling Grove, that's the card I was thinking of. Yeah, I assume my opponent will get an Oblivion Ring if they have it. Otherwise, they'll just get Solitary Confinement to buy a lot of time. Both of those are 3s, conveniently. My opponent also could have the enchantment that makes angels. And they could get that, throw that on top. Alright, yeah, it's a Solitary Confinement. Sure. Ooh, man. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 mana, so I can do both. It went on top of his library, Ninjutsu Kid. Well, apparently my opponent had Ash Barons, and they could have just cycled that, drawn the Solitary Confinement, and played it. Or no, that's not cycling. It's basic land cycling. Never mind. That seems rough. So I guess they should have done that before sacking then. Seems bad. I don't really know that Ash Barons is a playable legacy card, says the man playing this pile. I'm gonna be super sad if my opponent just has Rip and Helm here. Okay, good. I saw them tapping 5 mana. I was like, please no. So my opponent needs to produce a whole bunch of bodies to not die. Like a whole bunch. And with Prelate on 1 and 3, that seems very difficult to do. Yeah. How many can they make? The answer was 0. Alright, Legacy All-Star, Devout Chaplain, get in here for like the billionth match in a row. How is this card so good? It does everything when you get paired against all these random decks. Oh man, Cabal is going to be insane. Alright. So Hostage Taker does nothing here. Palace Jailer is one-sided card draw, because my opponent probably can't attack me until real late game with Angels. But the game's probably decided by that point anyway. No, the Pontiffs are not to beat down. They are to remove the Shroudy Enchantresses. So you shrink them and they die. The upside of just being able to, like, smack and beat someone down is pretty sweet as well. Most of the rest of these cards are pretty good, so I think I'll just trim one champion. I don't know how aggressively I'm supposed to mold a prelate, but especially since my opponent mulliganed, I'm going to keep this hand. Like, it has a turn 2 Thalia, which is really good, and a Pontiff to deal with an Enchantress, and another Pontiff if they have more Enchantress after that. So this is probably good enough. Sorry, France. The deck list isn't actually below the stream. I'll pull it up for you in between games. I think I forgot to update that. Wild Growthing Ash Barrens so that it taps for colored mana. I'm not going to push the point of damage. I don't want this Thalia to, like, randomly get Oblivion Ringed or something like that. Don't even call on Doomwake Giant. Don't even joke. Definitely not beating a Doomwake Giant ever. Alright, that is pretty good against my Thalia. This is the game where I aggro my opponent out with Moms. Next turn, I'm just gonna, like, smack for 6 with Moms, and then I'm gonna smack for 8 with Moms and Pontiff. And then my opponent's pretty darn close to dead. What a weird world we live in. I would like my opponent to somehow do 3 damage to themselves. If they could do that for me, that'd be wonderful. Ash Barrens is stupid expensive on Moto. That's not budget. Isn't this a common? This is a common. Oh, is that a common from, like, a stupid commander set? Because if so, I believe that. Oh, Pauper. Okay, okay. Sigil of the Empty Throne. That's scary. Yeah, Pauper is a weird world on Magic Online since it's so popular for some reason. I guess since it's relatively easy to start getting into. I really need to draw, like, a prelate or something here. Luckily, like, I get 2 draws, because I get my draw for turn and my draw off of Horizon Canopy. Yes, Devout Chaplain would also be good. Living Wish. Oh boy. A Revoker. They want to revoke my moms, do they? I honestly probably just want to push 2 damage. I guess I could make it push 4 damage. But I'd rather them crack back and swing at me. And, like, maybe I somehow put together a kill somehow. I think I'm dead. My opponent should just be able to make infinite angels and just kill me here. Like, they have an Enchantress's Presence, they now have a Sarah Sanctum. I should just be done. My opponent should also just bounce the Thalia before doing whatever it is they're about to do. Who joked about the Doomwake Giant? Who did that? Who did that? Yes, I'm very sure I want to concede the game. No, the Enchantress deck very frequently has a Doomwake Giant in the sideboard. It's very, very good. Alright, so what does this do? This is turn 2 prelate if I draw a land. I have 19 hits at a land, otherwise it's turn 3 prelate. That's good enough to keep. I don't really think the Monarch is that important, right? Because, like, in the first couple of turns, I try to lock them out, relatively speaking, with a, like, prelate or a Thalia, and then I just try to kill them quickly. So since I'm on the kill them quickly plan, then, like, the Monarch doesn't matter. Perfect. So my read on my opponent's hand is that they probably have like a 1-drop, but they didn't want to play it because their hand's kind of clunky and they wanted to use it to draw cards with the Enchantress. That is my read on what is in my opponent's hand. Don't know if I'm right, but that's my guess. Alright. So this turn I'll go Pilgrim and Canonist, and then that largely negates this. I'll crash in, and then I'll Thalia's Lieutenant at some point a turn or so down the line, and threaten to just end things. Actually, that was probably a mistake. Since I can't use this extra mana, I should have played Mom and Canonist. That was an error. It's probably not a costly error, since I'm gonna like just play this Thalia's Lieutenant and crash in and have my opponent almost dead. But like a mistake is a mistake. Alright, so I can hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just hit 6 on my own. I can Meddling Mage and name Solitary Confinement. And that probably puts me in the best position to just Thalia's Lieutenant on the next turn and win. Chris Pakula, get in there. Alright. Solitary Confinement. So, Shadowless, I would ask you rebuild from what? My opponent isn't anywhere near casting a Doomwake Giant, even with a Serra Sanctum off the top. Like, they lack black mana, they can only cast 1 card a turn, they can't cast 1-drops. I just 100% think not playing the Mom was an error. Alright, so they have a odd ramp card. Alright, let me double check to make sure Lieutenant is lethal. So if they block one of these, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, Thalia's Lieutenant is lethal. Yes, this is Legacy Humans. Yeah, so this deck is great against decks that don't have Blood Moon in it, but loses to decks that have Blood Moon in it. That's been the general trend. It's continuing. All right, so for whoever asked before, because I forgot to put the deck list below the stream, this is what we're working with. 4-color Legacy Humans. It's interesting It's much more aggressive than I thought it was going to be. Like, the champion of the parish, Thalia's lieutenant, Orzhov Pontiff, the pump side of the equation is, like, surprisingly good. Yeah, Kambal is awesome. It's not always good, but in the matchups where that card is good, it's just, like, borderline unbeatable. Alright. No data on my opponent. I'm on the play. I'm going to keep my hand. Opponent mulligan. So I kind of, oddly enough, want to lead on Champion of the Parish. Because then I can go into Thalia. If Thalia gets removed, I just go like Mom, and then I've crashed in for a ton with the Champion. That seems weird, though. But it seems right. Like, otherwise this Champion is just like a 1-1 late game. I think to get the most value out of my cards, I do this. Oh man, if my opponent is playing D&T, this is not a good hand versus D&T. Now it's a good hand against D&T. Oh man, the days of Innistrad Standard were great. Ah, Revoker named Mom. I accept. We're sandbagging this Pontiff. We're not running this Pontiff out yet for so little value. They're not going to block here, so I'm just going to get like 2 free damage in. I see you too have a Thalia. Ripping a land here would be awesome. Ooh, we did it. Dirty indeed. I don't want to, like, try to get even more value out of my Pontiff than that. Like, I already have 2 Moms on the board. I'm getting the 2-for-1. I don't want to just, like, get Wastelanded again and then not be able to do anything with it. Alright. Opponent recruiters. We'll see what they get. A Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. So I'd like to draw something like Athalia's Lancers, or sorry, Athalia's Lieutenant, in order to just go and start, like, getting more aggressive. Because this Stoneforge Mystic doesn't beat me right now, but in the future it might. I did not consider Suppression Field in the sideboard. I can't actually cast that with Ancient Ziggurat, so if I was going to run something like Suppression Field, I would be running a different mana base than what I am. Sure, Stoneforge Mystic is negative tempo. That's not any new news to anyone, right? Like, you're not playing Stoneforge Mystic for tempo. You're playing it for selection in a deck that otherwise largely lacks selection. An opponent just chooses not to port me. And then chose not to port me again. Yes. Opponent choosing not to equip. Really unsure about a lot of my opponent's life choices right now, if I'm being honest. Are they going to port me this turn? Yes, they are. So since my opponent didn't equip, I can actually just swing in with 3 creatures and then still like, have a blocker up with non-protection. We're playing against D&T. Not sure how experienced my opponent actually is. Mirror Crusader, slightly annoying. Thalia's Lieutenant off the top would give me lethal. That'd be nice. Why is my opponent conceding? They're very much not dead yet. Like, they just equipped 2 Crusader, and then I'm down to a 3-turn clock. And I can't just, like, Alpha Strike in to try to kill them because of First Strike and Jitse and how that works. But hey, what do I know? Alright. Nolrod, in. Pontiff, in. Devout Chaplain, Legacy MVP, in. Ooh, Containment Priest for Vials, in, because I don't have Vials. Alright. What's bad? Thalia's bad. Not Thalia's Lieutenant. Actual Thalia. So actual factual Thalia is bad, and Prelate is bad. So that leaves us at 57. So, keeping that in mind, I'll probably keep some Thalias, just because they have First Strike. And I guess I could keep a Prelate to just put on 1, so that Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile don't do anything. That all seems reasonable. Like, regular Thalia versus Prelate is probably pretty close. Like, both cards are poor. Oraf Champion's really bad. That's just a 1/1. I'll take another Prelate over that. I almost missed that. I'm gonna keep. I really want to draw another land, but like this has 2 Mana Dorks, 2 Moms, and a Pontiff. I can't ask for too much more from a hand. They name Artificer with their Cavern on turn 1. So they probably have a Stoneforge. Ooh. If they probably don't have a Swords to Plowshares, so I'm going to play out Noble Hierarch first. Like, if they had a Swords to Plowshares, they would have led on a white land. So they either don't have swords or they don't have, like, true white land. Or they just sequenced poorly. That's also very possible. So if my opponent plays a Stoneforge this turn, I get to freebooter away whatever piece of equipment they go and get, which is pretty hilarious. We are 2-2 in this league. We went 3-2 in the previous league. Alright, so we're going to leave them with Wisp, second Caracas, Crusader, Waste. So my opponent actually can't cast the Wisp or the Crusader because of their choice. Never mind. I was about to say, because of their choice, my opponent can't cast either the Wisp or the Crusader because they put their Cavern on Artificer poorly. Sword of War and Peace. Good thing that doesn't actually matter right now. Yeah, that doesn't matter yet. I just need to get rid of the flyer. Although, humorously, once my opponent plays Crusader, it does matter. Because Crusader has protection from Freebooter, Pilgrim, and Mom once it has Sword of War and Peace on. So is there anything that I can get to muck with that? I can just Recruiter this turn, get Devout Chaplain. My opponent hits me with Wisp, and I take 8. I played Chaplain, I take 8 more. Then I can blow up their thing. Or I Pontiff, No, the Pontiff line is bad. Because, like, the Sword of War and Peace doesn't do anything on the current board. They need to play Crusader first. They also have to realize that they have to play Crusader first, which they might not do. So I'm going to go get Devout Chaplain. I can't tutor for Hostage Taker, though. It's too fat. Too big a butt. Did you think about adding in Dark Confidant? Dark Confidant is definitely a possibility. I did not add that in personally. The original deck list did not have Dark Confidant in it, and I kept the creature base from the original build. I just changed the lands and the sideboard. But I thought the main deck was very well constructed, which is why I'm playing this tonight. Oh man, my opponent does not know how their cards work. I'm getting so much tempo advantage here. What the? What is this? What is this? I don't like that art. Holy cow. I am like practically allergic to this amount of tempo. They probably don't realize that Kitesail Freebooter has flying. I can't overstate how well that turn went for us. Like, if they play Crusader, like, I'm actually in real trouble. Alright, so... now I play the Chaplain. Streaming. I'm trying to decide if I want to just, like, take one off the Horizon Canopy to attack my opponent for 2. I think that's a good trade. No, that was a balloon noise. It is the sound of my people. So, it sounds like this. You make it by sort of like pressing your lips together and creating a small hole and blowing out of that hole. We use it to get each other's attention. I enjoy that face of disgust. Alright. Revoker's good. I'm going to go ahead and use one Mom on a freebooter preemptively, just in case my opponent decides to name Mom and be cheeky. So now my opponent names Devout Chaplain. I will Orzhov Pontiff away their Revoker and blow up their sword, and then be in a pretty commanding position. And when the sword dies, the Flicker Wisp also dies, so that's like double gross. Ooh, opponent names Mom. Apparently not caring about their sword. Or they have a Swords to Plowshares, and they can answer the Devout Chaplain right now. But, like, their play doesn't make any sense, right? Because if they don't have a Swords to Plowshares, then I can just use the Chaplain to go and kill their Revoker. So, like, on board, their turn is just bad. Why would they do that? Alright. A Batterskull. Legacy All-Star. Mistakes indeed were made, yes. That is correct. Alright, they just conceded. They were done there. I tricked them by using Mom. Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, let's do a recap of this deck and what I thought of it. So we went. All right, no, that concession is totally fair. Like, I have an overwhelming board. I have 2 active Moms. My opponent has a Batterskull that I'm about to eat. They have, like, nothing going on. Their Jitte is gone from their deck. Their Sword of War and Peace is gone. Like, they potentially boarded out the Sword of Fire and Ice. They're pretty done. 6-4, clearly 60% win rate is busted. Yes, agreed. I actually think that this deck is surprisingly good. I think this deck is much better than it appears. I'm not sure if my changes of the Ancient Ziggurats actually made the deck better. Unclear, since we just played against Red Prison twice and just, like, immediately lost to Blood Moon. And then we lost to a Blood Moon out of Tezzerator as well. But, like, the list only would have had, I think, 4 fetch lands. I think it was 4 Windswept Heaths in the original list, and 2 plains. So it's not like it would have been that much better against it anyway. So it's not like that was the worst decision. Like, I really, really, really liked the Ancient Ziggurats. Like, just having 3 more quad lands was really, really, really good. I really like the feel of the main deck. Like, I didn't change any of these creatures, and the only one I would change was this. I just boarded this out, like, I think every single matchup. I never wanted to tutor for it. Like, I understand why it's there to reuse some of this stuff, but I just never had it work out in practice. You say deck needs Vile, cut Avacyn's Pilgrim. I don't know, because like the ability to go turn 2 prelate is very, very strong. That's gonna win a lot of matchups. And like the more bodies you have, the better the champions and the Thalia's lieutenants are. So I don't know. This could be a Reflector Mage. I like that. That's a very good suggestion. I was thinking a Reflector Mage is good. One Direfleet Daredevil is not unreasonable. Although I don't know that the deck needs any more top end. Like the top end's pretty good. So I would change this card to something else. Sideboard felt pretty good. Devout Chaplain was insane. And I know that's partially because, like, we played against Mud, Red Prison, Tezzerator, Enchantress. But in this league, Devout Chaplain was the Nutter Butters, and I was very happy to have that around. Cabal in the main deck would also be reasonable. So I'm going to... When I upload this to YouTube, I will put a link to the original deck list I based this off of, because I know people were curious about it. Let me see if anyone else is streaming some Legacy here. I'd like to host someone. I have a few more things to say, and I want to show you another deck list before I go as well. Alright, so Card Kingdom's got Legacy going on. I guess I could just host them. But I'd rather give a bunch of viewers to a small... I found just the person. Alright. So, I'm going to show you the next deck that I'm going to stream with. I think I already put it in here. Yeah, so let me move these over. This is the next deck list I'm going to stream with. I owe you all a Black, White, Death and Taxes stream. And so I'm going to splash for Bob and Pontiff in the main deck, as well as Pontiff, Freebooter, and Bitter Blossom in the sideboard. Ooh, maybe a Cabal as well. That's a mistake. I should have a Cabal in here. Chat, what do I cut for Cabal? And should it be in the main deck or sideboard? I think sideboard. Need a Cabal. That card's awesome. So, are the duels necessary? If you want to play a splash D&T build, probably, honestly, because then you can play like your fetch lands that can still get basics for the Delver matchup while having your black sources for the matchups where you need them. Can I just run Freebooter main if I don't have Bobs? Yeah, that'd be reasonable. Like Freebooter is a fine Magic card. There's also Tidehauler Sculler if you're willing to do something that's double mana. Oh, you mean, are the duels necessary for 4-color humans? Like, I could definitely trim on the duels if I wanted to get some basic lands in there. I'll link to the original deck list, which had a different mana-based configuration that still had planes. Hold up, Ghost Quarter? Yeah, so I'll talk about this more when I actually stream this deck, but I think if I'm going to be playing with Bob, I actually want to play Ghost Quarter over Port, because I'm going to be drawing more cards, so I'm going to be using my mana most of the time. And if I have like a Bob start and I just get to like Wasteland Ghost Quarter my opponent out, that's probably just better. So I think I like Ghost Quarter in a build that's playing Bob. Phil, when do you play White again? Next week's, like, Monday and Wednesday streams will probably just be like mono white D&T and red white D&T. Because I'm going to play a bunch of weird stuff over my spring break just to like get that out of my system and have some fun. Then I'll go back to normal stuff next week. Trim a path for a Kumbal. Yeah, I like that. I'll probably put a Kumbal in this deck list before I play it. I'm waiting on some responses from people for when I'm doing stuff, but I'll probably stream this at some point, either, what day is tomorrow, Thursday? I'll probably stream some of this Thursday or Friday. All right, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this this 4-color humans stream. It was a blast for me. If you enjoyed this content and you haven't already, feel free to follow. I'll be playing mostly D&T or D&T-ish decks on this channel. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm going to stay in the chat for a minute. Welshman, I upload all of the videos to my YouTube channel, ThrabenU University, so they will be there. You'll also be able to watch the replays on Twitch. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. Thanks, folks.